It was nearly 9 months ago that this championship season started right here at Pomona Raceway with the Winter Nationals. And since that time, this 16-event, $15 million championship season has proved to be the most competitive season in the history of the sport. There have been an all-out assault on the speed records in virtually every major class. And just moments ago, in the top fuel category here, with a championship on the line, a startling incident involving the challenger, Eddie Hill, and the man who wants to be champion, Joe Amato. Here's how it unfolded. At the far end of the track, Amato was standing by after having eliminated Gary Ormsby in the first round. He was anxiously watching Eddie Hill, and it was immediately obvious there was a problem for Hill. No reverse in his machine as the crew scrambled to push him back to the starting area. From the onboard camera, you could see his wife, Ursi, directing the crew, urging them back into position as the defending top fuel champion, Dick LaHaye, who won the title a year ago by a mere 42 points against Amato, sportingly waited for Hill to stage. Then they were ready for the launch. And as the lights turned to green, there was an explosion in the power plant of Eddie Hill. And on board, you could see his reaction as he banged the wheel in frustration. His championship hopes were out the window. And at the far end of the track, the celebration began. Joe Amato, for the second time in his career, champion of Top Fuel. As far as the other championships are concerned, Bob Glidden in Pro Stock has already wrapped up an unprecedented 9th championship. Today he seeks his 68th career victory. Now, the big story, however, is in the funny car ranks. It's been like a heavyweight title fight this year between Kenny Bernstein, who's trying to win his 4th straight championship, and the challenger Mark Oswald, who's determined to see that Bernstein doesn't get the job done. It's been the tightest points battle in the 14-year history of this division. And with more on that matchup, let's go to the pits and our colleague, Steve Evans.
Well, Gary, the man who is trying to keep this #1 on the side of his red funny car for a 4th consecutive year, Kenny Bernstein, does indeed remind me of a prize fighter. All of these funny car drivers do. They go out and do battle for a very short period of time, and the one left standing goes back to his corner where the crew tries to get him fit to battle one more time. Now, Kenny first won the championship back in 1985. He defended it easily in 86 and 87, having KO'd all contenders long before the final bell here at Pomona. But in 1988, he is fighting for his pride. 15 brutal rounds are down, but the champ must go a 16th with a very narrow points advantage over Mark Oswald. Mark, it seems even when Kenny Bernstein drops his guard a bit, you're unable to tag him.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it's been all year. Neither one of us has been able to pull out on each other. Every time he's made a mistake, you know, I've not been able to capitalize on it, and him the same way.
You met head-to-head a week ago.
Yeah, we did over there at Phoenix. It would have been a prime opportunity for us to step out a little bit, and we had some problems and just couldn't make enough horsepower to beat him. People don't realize this is an ongoing battle. It's lasted all year long, and it's been like that. It's been up and down. I led for a while, and he's led for a while. It's been tough.
Well, the battle began this weekend, and Mark Oswald came out swinging. 277 miles per hour, top speed for funny cars, and that's 50 bonus points to put him within 1 round of racing to Kenny Bernstein. But Bernstein, in the final qualifying effort, fought back with this magnificent 5.29 elapsed time run. Low ET for the breed, a career best, a track record. Bernstein leveled things out. You know, when he ran 277, that put the speed pretty well out of sight. Was that the plan, to try to neutralize his points?
Yeah, we can't run 277. We haven't all year, you know, so we try to get it back with ET, and boy, Dale just took a shot and it hung on.
Good luck.
It's a tough day tomorrow, but I appreciate it. At least I feel good. I might sleep tonight.
Okay. Wow, what a run. A jubilant crew led by Dale Armstrong greeted Kenny at the far end. Now let's join the 3rd member of our announcing crew today, 3-time Top Fuel champ, Don Garlitz.
Steve, while the funny car racing has been very predictable, whereas all of the favorites have advanced to the 2nd round, the Top Fuel racing has been a totally different picture. It has been a battle of the underdogs. On the top half of the field, sure, all of the favorites did advance, but in the bottom half, every winner was an underdog. So that means in our final race of the day, we will have 1 favorite versus 1 underdog. And you know what that means? Anything can happen.
So we're ready now for action in the 2nd round of Top Fuel, and our first pairing features the veteran Frank Bradley in the near lane against a bright young newcomer from Texas, Laurie Johns.
Lori Johns is only 22 years of age, Gary. This is her first season in Top Fuel, but she's raced since she was 16 years of age in a variety of the sportsman classes, even went to the drag racing school down in Florida.
Now, in the first round, Lori went head-to-head against Robert Reel, another newcomer from Southern California. And this first-round matchup proved to be a heart-stopper for both of these competitors.
Well, Gary, it certainly did, and Lori John showed the presence of mind to be able to get off that throttle and get back on it and save the run.
And after that fine driving job, Steve talked with her.
Well, if there was any doubt as to whether this young woman could handle this race car under less than ideal conditions, they have been dispelled. A great job of driving, Lori.
Thank you. I didn't see him, but there was no way I was going to smoke the tires and just let off. I just kept getting back in it. I thought I'm going to get to the finish line first this time.
And this is your first big-time win light.
Yes, this is my first time that I actually won at an NHRA event, and you don't know how much I've been looking forward to it.
Yes, I know how much. Great job again.
Thank you very much.
So now in the second round, she's ready to go head-to-head against Frank Bradley, the veteran from Northern California who put Gene Snow on the trailer in the first round of competition.
Lori has a good shot here. Frank Bradley only ran a 5.83 second lap time in round one. That's the time it takes to go starting line to finish line.
And it's Lori who smokes the tires this time, and Bradley will advance. So Johns continues to have problems. She is eliminated, and Bradley, with a 5.37, 241 miles per hour, moves now to the semifinals.
This is Rudy Topke from Arkansas. He also could be called a rookie driver. He's owned this team for several years, but only this season has he himself taken the wheel.
And his opponent in this pairing is another rookie, Dennis Forcell from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He comes out of the top alcohol ranks, and this year has enjoyed considerable success as a Top Fuel driver. Topke owns a trucking company, and he really enjoys the spirit of the competition. And in the first round, we saw evidence of that as he went head-to-head with Frank Hawley, one of the old professionals of the sport. But Hawley had a problem. He broke on burnout. It meant a bye run for Topke. And while streaking down the track at better than 280 miles per hour, the rear wing broke loose. But Topke managed to save it.
One of the most frightening things that can happen to a Top Fuel driver is the wing blowing off as Rudy Topke has. The car unloads. Great job.
Scared me.
What's that?
I didn't know what happened. I heard a pop. I thought the motor blew up and put oil under my tires, but it didn't. It got up on sort of one side. Boy, I pulled that chute and hung on for dear life.
And now you build some stronger wing braces.
Yeah, I just hope we can get it fixed for next round.
We do too.
The last time that happened to me, I got upside down at over 250 miles an hour.
And you know that Rudy Topke has got to be thinking about that now as he faces Dennis Forcell. Forcell, another of the rookies. Remember, this is the underdog side of the ladder that Don Garlitz mentioned earlier.
Now, Forcell's crew chief, Larry Frazier, had plenty of time to prepare his car. You wonder about Topke's crew. They spent most of their time fixing the wing.
But we're about to find out right now. Loss of traction for Topke. Also an explosion in the power plant. Forcell easily in 5.18, 270 miles per hour advances.
But Topke, look at the oil, 14 quarts of it coming out of that engine, going all over the shiny rear tire. A lot of cleanup coming up. Topke makes a beautiful start, gets Forcell off the starting line, but problems begin to occur immediately as not enough maintenance time was spent on that engine. Too much time repairing the wing, and the damage is evident. The big hole in the side of the block tells the story.
Visual evidence of just how much attention must be paid to the power plants in this sophisticated sport. Meanwhile, back in the pits, the funny car showdown coming up. Kenny Bernstein methodically packs his chute.
All right, stand by. Replay on slow-mo A. Roll A and...
Back at the air like a starving cyclone, throwing off billowing clouds of burning rubber as they gorge themselves on a meal of nitromethane laced with molten aluminum. They are funny cars. Fabulous Floppers 2, the All-Stars, is a showcase of today's most visible superstar cars, drivers, and mechanics in one action-packed Diamond P video. To order Fabulous Floppers 2, call 1-800-453-7300 or send a check or money order to this address. Fabulous Floppers 2, $39.95 plus $3.50 shipping and handling.
Back at Pomona in the staging lanes, Mark Oswald ponders his next matchup. The potential exists for a head-to-head confrontation with Kenny Bernstein. He's Mr. Cool right now as he looks ahead to meeting Tom Hoover. Meanwhile, in our Top Fuel pairing, this is Shirley Muldowney, three-time world champion, backing into position now as she gets set to go against Dick LaHaye.
And Gary, Shirley appears to have all the cards here. She has lane choice. She was quicker in the earlier round at 5.18. Of course, she's a three-time Top Fuel champ. Dick LaHaye, retiring that number 1, has to give it to Joe Amato when this is over. LaHaye is in the lane of Rudy Toki, oiled down so thoroughly.
And you know that that has to be preying on the mind of the defending champion right now. He smoked his tires in the first-round matchup against Eddie Hill. We saw that as he solved his problems. Off the line. Good start for LaHaye. Muldowney loses traction, and LaHaye will advance. 280 miles per hour, 523. Muldowney far off the pace.
Well, Kim LaHaye, she softened her clutch, and the crew of Muldowney, they got a little bit too aggressive and smoked the tires.
Meanwhile, the newly crowned champion of Top Fuel, Joe Amato, awaiting this last pairing in the second round of Top Fuel, going against Darrell Gwynn, a 5-time winner this year. And back in the staging lanes, Kenny Bernstein sets fully enclosed in the cockpit of his funny car, awaiting his first run. A championship on the line, a championship streak that he hopes to extend. A huge crowd on hand once again at Pomona for this season-ending action. And down at the far end of the strip, Dick LaHaye now with Steve Evans.
No matter how much oil may have gone down in your lane, you still, Dick LaHaye, cannot let it intimidate you. A 5:23.
No, I couldn't. I just had to go up there and race the best possible race I could and hope that it was good enough. And it was spinning the tires a bunch out there, but fortunately we got down there first.
Satisfaction for Dick LaHaye. A fine opportunity coming up now for Darrell Gwynn. If he can win this round, it could mean an extra $15,000 in his championship paycheck in the point standings because Eddie Hill is eliminated. Gwynn could move to number 2.
And Joe Amato, of course, has clinched the title, and he did it with consistency. Gwynn may have won 5 races, but when he lost in the early rounds, and it pays 200 points per winning round. Doesn't matter how many races you win, it's how many rounds over the season.
Gwynn and Amato. Amato on the far side, Gwynn on the near side. Gwynn with a slight advantage at mid-track. This is still anybody's race, and Gwynn gets it. 5:15 to 5:17, 272 miles per hour for Gwynn, 273 for Amato. What a Top Fuel battle.
What a beautiful driving job by young Darrell Gwynn. He welded Joe Amato to the starting line, never gave him a chance. The crew of Amato evidently gave a little bit too much clutch. Notice the smoke coming off the tires, and it cost him in the race.
But Amato still has a championship. He's with Steve.
Well, Joe, it was quite a party while it lasted.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, Steve. You know, winning the championship was the main goal. It would have been nice to put the icing on the cake. But, you know, we're glad just to have won the championship this year.
One heck of a drag race with Darrell.
Yeah, it was. You know, I'm kind of glad he's been having a little tough luck the last couple races. So, you know, give him a chance. He goes on, maybe he can win the race. We'll be back.
You always hope the man that beats you wins the race.
So Amato savors a $150,000 championship bonus. And the semifinal pairing show Gwynn against LaHaye, Gwynn with lane choice. And the other pairing pits Bradley against Forcell. Forcell will have lane choice.
The crowd stays on its feet as Kenny Bernstein pulls to the starting line, trying to defend his winning car title. He has a 2-round advantage over Mark Oswald. To stay in the fight, he must, in this round, defeat Don the Snake Prudhomme. He has to avoid a snake bite, and Prudhomme is motivated. He is the only 4-time 20-car champ. He likes that being said about him.
That's right, Steve. The Snake is not intimidated by Bernstein.
Prudhomme, in his 26th year of drag racing, has 2 victories thus far this season. Bernstein trying to extend the streak to 4 consecutive championships. Meanwhile, Mark Oswald now suits up back in the staging lanes. He continues to show an exterior of nonchalance.
But you know, in the back of his mind, he's concerned. If Bernstein wins and he wins in this round, they will meet head-to-head in the semis. But right now, Kenny Bernstein, near lane, Don Prudhomme in the far lane. Bernstein has lane choice, has taken the near lane after LaHaye's run.
And Bernstein away while Prudhomme has a problem, and Kenny Bernstein keeps the championship hopes alive, and his crew reacts as he rips through the lights at 266 miles per hour of 5:43. Mr. Cool, meanwhile, Oswald now says it's time to step to the desk as he climbs into the cockpit of his funny car and gets ready for his next run.
John Force in the funny car in the near lane. He enjoyed Bernstein's one over Prudhomme almost as much as Bernstein himself, because by Kenny beating the Snake, that means that John Force will finish 3rd in the points and collect a sizable bonus check. He's had a terrific year. He's a #2 qualifier here and has won 2 NHRA national events, a career high.
And at the other end of the track, Bernstein, after the victory over Prudhomme, knows that his championship hopes are still alive, but the pressure is still on.
That's right, but the more rounds Bernstein wins, the more he puts Oswald in a defensive position.
Meanwhile, back at the line, Force inches into position. He's already collected extra thousands of dollars in bonus because of his advance in the point standings. He goes against Bruce Larson, who won his first funny car event of his career this year at the Cajun Nationals. He's been somewhat of a spoiler all season long.
You know, an interesting note here, Steve. All of the cars with lane choice have taken the lane that had the oil. NHRA did a tremendous job of cleanup.
They did indeed. Both cars staged and ready, and it's Force away first.
Even at mid-track, Force and Larson. Force gets the nod. Larson was actually quicker, 5:37, Force 5:40, but Force gets the victory, and what a tremendous battle we've seen in this funny car matchup.
Gary, there are 0.4 of a second between the amber and the green, and the driver's trying very hard to get close to that. John Force got extremely close to it on this run, and that's how he was able to beat Larson's 5:37.
Well, you couldn't ask for a closer race. It's just a matter of feet when they hit the line, and the victory goes to John Force. Graphic evidence of what a good start can do. Force wins despite having a slower ET.
John Force has always taken great pride in his driving. When he was a long-haul trucker and now in a race car, you outdrove Bruce Larson.
Why did he run quicker?
You bet he did.
What did he run?
He ran a 30-70 to your 40.
Whoa, let me tell you something here. I was cheering down there for old Bernstein. Whip the snake, whip the snake. Everybody don't understand why. That was my shot at number 3. Snake had to go. Bless you, Kenny. He's been beating up on me all year. He finally gave me one back.
Did you know you had won?
Well, I tell you, he was right out the window, and I knew I cut a light, and the brain quit. Wait a minute. I saw the light, and I was looking even at a red going out, and then I thought, get your mind back, because I knew I'd cut it close, but I really thought they was going to tell me a 440 or something. I'll take it.
Oh, boy, you got it.
Oh, one of the great characters of the sport, John Force, savoring 3rd place in championship points. Meanwhile, back up in the staging lanes, Mark Oswald stealing the concentration, ready to respond to the challenge of Kenny Bernstein, and crew chief Leonard Hughes waits patiently alongside. Winston finals of drag racing, and still a sense of urgency in the pit of Kenny Bernstein. Even after having defeated Don Prudhomme in the 2nd round, they're looking ahead to a potential semifinal matchup with the challenger, Mark Oswald. Back on the starting line, we're ready now for a matchup between John Martin, who goes against Mike Dunn. Dunn in the near lane.
Mike Dunn has won the last 2 races on the circuit, Houston and Phoenix. He's also the fastest funny car driver in the world, holds the NHRA national record at over 280 miles per hour. Quite a young driver. John Martin has had a good season. He reached the final round for the first time in Brainerd, and this is his home track. He's from, well, literally about 5 miles away from here.
Much like John Force, who's from nearby Yorba Linda, and of course Don Prudhomme from Granada Hills. And in fact, the winner of this matchup will go against Force in the semifinal round. Off the line on the near side, and with the clear-cut advantage now, advancing easily will be Dunn.
You know, Gary, the young drivers, Gwynn, Force, Dunn, been performing exceptionally well on the starting line today.
Dunn with a 5:48, 271 miles per hour. But now, all eyes, all attention focused on this man, Mark Oswald, getting started. He has to respond to the challenge that's been thrown down by Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein advancing with his victory over Prudhomme. Oswald now faced with a must-win situation. He draws Tom Hoover in this round. Hoover, who made it to the finals in the last event at Phoenix. And as Hoover goes through his burnout, let's reset the situation now. Oswald 2nd in points to Bernstein. And with Bernstein having advanced through the 2nd round, Bernstein's advantage is still just over 200 points. There's 200 points for a victory in each round, so Oswald must win now to keep pace. Otherwise, his championship hopes are gone. Meanwhile, at the far end of the strip, Steve is alongside Mike Dunn.
You're not paying any attention to all the hubbub over the championship, just running your own race, trying to make your own paycheck.
Yeah, that's what we started doing the last few races, and it seems to be working, so we're not going to change it. We'll just take one race at a time. We'll have Force this round. We'll have to step it up a little bit, but we don't want to get too carried away and go give them a race.
All right, that will be a driver's race. Reaction times could win that one.
Now, Don Garlitz, many times in your career, you've had to come from behind to win championships. What's going through the mind of Mark Oswald right now?
Well, he's got a lot on his mind. He's just churning up inside. You can bet on that because he cannot make a mistake at this point.
Oswald won the championship in 1984. He knows what it's like to win. He goes against Tom Hoover, who in the 1st round eliminated the 3rd fastest qualifier, Ed McCulloch. He's capable of the upset.
especially with the confidence he brings here after a runner-up in Phoenix. It is Hoover away first.
Hoover with the advantage at half strip. Hoover holding the advantage, and Hoover has done it. Oswald's championship hopes have been blown by Hoover. And Hoover will advance to go against Kenny Bernstein, and Oswald will have to be content with number 2 in the championship point chase.
You must understand the feeling that's in Oswald's heart right now as he leaves the line. He can look out there and actually see Hoover in front of him and knows he must play catch-up. But Hoover runs the best run of his career and dashes all hope for Oswald.
And in the Bernstein pit, the pressure is now off. The streak is intact. Another Winston championship for Kenny Bernstein. Let's go to Steve.
Well, certainly it was Tom Hoover in the role as a spoiler, but we cannot leave down here without thanking this man, Mark Oswald, for a spectacular and exciting season, and sorry to see it end for you this way.
Thank you, Steve. Hoover put up a good race. You know, he was out there on me and just couldn't get around him.
I don't know if the ETs at this point mean anything to you, but he ran at 5:40.40 or 5:46.
Yeah, it was a close race. I mean, it was just right there. You got to give him a lot of credit. Every one of these cars out here is strong like that. Next year is just going to be the same way.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
So the heavyweight title fight is over. Decision Bernstein. Semifinal pairings. Hoover against Bernstein. Bernstein has lane choice by a mere 100th of a second. The other pairing, it's Dunn against Force. Force gets lane selection.
And it's time now for Pro Stock, the semifinal round. Very sophisticated race cars, but no nitromethane in the tank. These are dual 4-barrel carburetors, 4-speed transmissions, and racing gasoline, yet they make over 1,100 horsepower. Warren Johnson in the Oldsmobile was the low qualifier of the 16-car field that has now been boiled down to 4 cars. Johnson from Duluth, Georgia. His opponent in this round will be Bruce Allen. Bruce Allen has won 2 titles this year in his Chevrolet Beretta, but it's Warren Johnson who came the closest to Bob Glidden, the champion again.
Allen on the near side, inching into position as we await now this semifinal battle. Great start by both men, away evenly and still side by side down the track. Johnson perhaps inching out. Yes, Johnson gets the victory, but look at that, 187 miles per hour for both men. Johnson with a 7:41 to Allen's 7:43.
Only 2/100ths of a second separated them, and that is typical of Pro Stock racing. You're on board with a 9-time champion, Bob Glidden, and his Ford Probe, a car that debuted 2 races ago and so far is undefeated.
But he'll be racing Morris Johnson Jr., and he's one of the new Pro Stock drivers on the scene, and he is really good on the starting line.
And he has been the nemesis of Bob Glidden more than once this year. He has eliminated Glidden in early competition. In fact, in the Winter Nationals that kicked off the season back in February, it was Morris Johnson Jr. in this run who put Glidden out of competition in the very first round.
And it was this very race where Morris Johnson Jr. not only got Bob Glidden's attention, but also that of the fans and the media. He's hot.
That was February in the Winter Nationals. Now they're side by side once again in the semifinals. The winner to advance against Warren Johnson.
It's all concentration. Bob Glidden holds the engine at 7,000 RPM. The flash of the yellow light. Out comes the clutch. Glidden shifting through the gears. Morris Johnson is in front of him. Glidden in high gear. No. Morris Johnson Jr., they call him Mojo, has done it again.
He indeed has done it again. Terrible reaction from Glidden, who was beaten off the line by nearly 0.08 of a second. Glidden then came on to run a 7:41 to Johnson's 7:46, but it was too late for Glidden. So Morris Johnson Jr. goes against Warren Johnson, who has lane choice in the finals. For the NHRA Winston Finals at Pomona, along with Don Garlitz and Steve Evans, I'm Gary Gerald. And in the funny car pits, the man who knocked Mark Oswald out of the championship front, Tom Hoover, gets ready under the watchful eye of his 82-year-old crew chief, his father, George Hoover. They're preparing for Kenny Bernstein. Meanwhile, on the line, our Top Fuel semifinals. First bracket about to get underway. Dennis Forcell goes against Frank Bradley.
Gary, 2 very evenly matched cars here with the new high gear technology. By that I mean no transmission, 1 gear only, and a clutch.
How quickly do things change in this sport? Well, at the Winter Nationals this year, every car in the field had a 2-speed transmission. The new multi-stage clutches have made a lot of things possible. Now the driver can concentrate on leaving the starting line. He doesn't have to worry about where am I going to shift the car. Dennis Forcell, the visor down, as Don said, 2 very evenly matched competitors.
Forcell near side, Bradley far side, both away cleanly, and still side by side. Forcell with the advantage. He wins it 5:18, 200 263 miles per hour to Bradley's 519, 264 miles per hour.
The race was won on the starting line. Purcell wasn't exactly quick, but Bradley was asleep. He must have been thinking about another race at another time, because the two cars ran very close together in ET, but the difference is not close at the other end. Purcell had him at the starting line with just a normal lead.
So the bad start cost Bradley, who's now eliminated. Purcell forges to the finals. He's with Steve.
When you're enjoying really what amounts to your rookie year, it's got to be a special feeling going into the final round. Win or lose?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic, but it's going to be great when we win it. I am hoping Darrell wins this race because I kind of owe him one.
With your driving and performance like a 518, you've got a good shot.
Yeah, very good. We're really excited. This has been a heck of a good weekend for us.
Dennis Purcell wrapping up his rookie season, referring to his first and only final round appearance earlier this year when he lost to this man, Darrell Gwynn. And now Gwynn hoping that he'll be able to advance as he gets set for a semifinal matchup with Dick LaHaye.
And there is the man that intends to stop him, if at all possible, Dick LaHaye, in a very aggressive burnout. We talked about the high gear combination. Well, this man, Darrell Gwynn, doing his burnout, and Dick LaHaye were two of the last competitors to abandon the transmission. It has helped Dick LaHaye tremendously so far, not so much Darrell Gwynn. Earlier, Don Garlits took a look at this high gear technology. Just what does it do and how?
You're looking at a transmission housing that has been converted to high gear only. This is one of the reasons that the car's performance have increased dramatically in 1988. Traditionally, these transmissions had mechanisms inside that caused the car to have two speeds. It consisted of this huge planetary gear device and this drum. All of these parts weighed about 17 pounds. Then they converted the car to high gear, replaced those parts with this little small 1-pound coupler. That gave a lot of additional horsepower to be able to be delivered to the rear wheels of these dragsters, and thus we got the 4-second times very consistently in 1988.
A little warm here today in Pomona. I doubt we'll see a 4-second run, but anything could happen. Anytime Darrell Gwynn has lane choice here at Pomona, he takes the near or right lane. Unless it's the final round with the sun going down. Then he goes into the far lane. Psychological advantage for Darrell to have lane choice here over Dick LaHaye.
Off the line, advantage to Gwynn. Gwynn stretching it just a bit. Spot of the finals at stake. He's got it, and he's been a model of consistency. 5:13 on this run, 273 miles per hour to LaHaye's 5:32 at 2:64. So the pairings in the final round. Gwynn against Dennis Purcell. Lane selection again to Darrell Gwynn. And back behind the grandstands in the pit area, we're in the John Force pit. The crew preparing now for a run against Mike Dunn after defeating Bruce Larson. A lot of work for the Force crew now as they methodically handle their maintenance. Let's check now with Steve, who's alongside Darrell Gwynn.
If every race was held here in Pomona, Darrell Gwynn, you'd be champion every year. You and this place just have a special affinity.
So far, it's been real good, Steve. You know, it's a very humbling sport. We don't know how long this can last, but I'll take 3 wins here in Pomona. We've got a lot of fans, and taking it 1 round at a time, and we got lane choice in the final. I get my left lane.
I know you have a favorite lane. That left lane of 5:13 is going to put you there.
That's right. We win every round except for the final in the right lane. And then when the sun goes down, we switch to the left lane. Kind of like we know what we're doing, Steve, but you know better than that.
Okay. See you then, Darrell.
Thank you.
So Gwynn looks ahead to his showdown now against Dennis Purcell. Here at Pomona for the Winston Finals, no exception. More than 50,000 wildly cheering their favorites. And back in the pits, Joe Amato and his wife Jerry celebrate with champagne the Top Fuel Championship he won just a short time ago.
They certainly have earned that toast. No rest in the Darrell Gwynn pit. There is the clutch being worked on. It is now the heart and soul of the combination. You can make all the horsepower in the world, but if you can't manage it properly for 5 seconds over 1,320 feet, it doesn't mean a thing.
And out on the line, Kenny Bernstein, who now has clinched a 4th consecutive title, gets set to go against the giant killer, Tom Hoover, the man who put Mark Oswald on the sideline and gave Bernstein another crown.
Where Bernstein is involved, we tend to take his performance, his success for granted. But imagine how hard it is to win 4 of these in a row, considering this year alone there have been 8 individual winners on the circuit. Only Don Prudhomme has done it in the past, and his last title was back in 1978. Tom Hoover, the giant killer in the far lane. Can he do it again? The car goes up in the air. He has to shut it down. Kenny Bernstein will go to the finals at a 5.40, 267 miles per hour. Kenny Bernstein continues on his game. Crew chief Dale Armstrong has that car razor sharp. Gary Gerald is with him.
Dale, the celebration for the championship started a little while ago. Now you're in the finals for another title. Got to feel awful good.
Oh, yeah, it does. The pressure's off now. I mean, we can gamble a little bit now. We couldn't gamble in the first 2 rounds and risk smoking the tires. But now to win the race and the championship, pressure's over. We can gamble. The air is going to come in good for the last run, so I think you'll see some quicker times.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
And for Kenny's reaction, let's go to Steve.
Has it sunk in yet?
Oh, yeah, it sunk in down there. I've never felt the kind of pressure in the last 2 weeks, and certainly this weekend that you feel in one of these things. It's something that I've never been through before, and I hope never have to go through it again, and I don't wish it on anyone. So, yeah, it sunk in because it feels like 1,000-pound weight's off your shoulders, but I'm plenty proud of all the team and Dale and all the sponsor people, Budweiser, Quaker State, Buick Motor Division especially.
Good luck, Kenny. Gary?
The other semifinal pairing has Mike Dunn now in the far lane going against John Force, who was the last of the 4 semifinalists to come into the staging lane.
Well, Gary, I think that's because his crew chief, Austin Coyle, is just taking every bit of time possible to get the car right. Let's recall that Austin won 2 funny car championships, 82 and 83, with a real budget operation called the Chi-Town Hustler.
A good start. Both cars run head-to-head. But in half-track, you can see John extend the lead just ever so slightly. But his performance fell off somewhat as he runs a 5.52.
John Force goes to the final round. Gary has Austin Coyle.
Austin, was there any problem? A little late getting up to the line.
Well, it does appear that there was a problem on that run. No, in the pits, we were just taking our time. But it looks like something went wrong with it. We got to see if we can fix it for the final.
Thanks, Austin. So it'll be Force going to the final. He'll go against Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein has the lane choice. And Steve is with Force.
Well, we didn't get to see Kenny Bernstein and Mark Oswald go head-to-head, but John Force and Kenny Bernstein in the final, I'll take that race any day. Great job.
Hometown L.A. Love this. Who got lane choice?
He does.
Don't care. Don't matter. Still here making money. Trying to stay calm here, Steve. I got the jitters up there real bad, but I got to say that my crew's done well. Austin Coyle's done well. My sponsors, you can read the signage here. There's no doubt about it who the people are that back this car, and we're excited to be in a final. Kenny's world champ again. He earned it. He's got it. But whole new season just around the corner, and, buddy, that's what we are ready for. And I mean
nothing I can ever add to a John Force interview.
Force looking ahead to his showdown with Kenny Bernstein. Back in the pits, Joe and Jerry Amato wishing Stella Forcell and Dennis Forcell good luck as they look ahead to the Top Fuel finals.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high-compression engines not only rev...
Shadows are lengthening as the late afternoon sun slides behind the hills in the west, and we continue action in the NHRA Winston finals at Pomona. For Kenny Bernstein, a season championship streak is intact. Now he seeks his 4th event win of the year.
The crew all looks calm and collected, just a general routine maintenance, getting ready for the final. They have lane choice. They feel that everything is in order. However, you saw the smoke come out of John Force's car in the last round. Austin Coyle has elected to install a new engine. He feels this race is too important to take a chance on a repair job.
A fact that just accentuates the rivalry between John Force and Kenny Bernstein. They'll meet shortly. Now, the pro stock finalists are on the line. Warren Johnson goes from the far lane. His opponent, Morris Johnson Jr. from the near side.
Warren Johnson has said publicly that he planned to be the first pro stock driver to beat Bob Gooden's board. Well, Johnson did it all right. As we saw earlier, it was the Johnson in the black car, Morris Jr. from Virginia.
Both men have one event win this year. It was Warren Johnson at Atlanta back in April. Johnson Jr. did it at Montreal in mid-season.
Taking a little time here, both drivers moving in very carefully. They bring the RPMs up. A beautiful start.
On the far side, Warren Johnson has the advantage, and Warren Johnson down the track has the victory over Morris Johnson. 7:43 for Warren, 7:52 for Morris. 187 miles per hour for the winner.
Warren Johnson was unable to catch Bob Glidden in the season points chase, but this win helped salve those wounds a little bit. On the starting line, Morris Johnson Jr. was not up to his normal par as Warren gave him a little driving lesson out of the gate. But it was still a real good race until Morris's car moved around just a little bit in the middle of the course, giving the win to Warren.
And Steve is with the winner.
Warren Johnson, winner of the Finals Pro Stock title. A nice job.
Finally, Steve. Thank you very much.
You had a handle on this event from the very beginning. You were the low qualifier.
Well, not really. You remember the first 2 qualifying passes, we weren't even in the field. And then we kind of started to come around and step on it a little bit. We were doing a little testing.
You missed your shot at Bob Glidden. You wanted that.
Well, that's secondary. Winning the race is primary. And I really have to thank AC Delco Hosenbiel for sticking with us this year. And I think we're looking for a great future with him in the next 2 years.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Warren Johnson, number 2 in the world of pro stock drag racing.
Career win number 18 for Warren Johnson. Don Garlitz now has an overview on the Top Fuel finals.
Top Fuel has been the battle of the young lions. And both these cars, Darrell Gwynn and Dennis Forsell, have been very consistent and are almost evenly matched. So the question is going to be, who is going to be the most alert on the starting line? Who's going to cut that tree just right? Well, Gwynn might have a little advantage. He's got a little bit more driving experience in Top Fuel than Forsell, but got to remember, Forsell is young and hungry.
Dennis Forsell looking to cap his rookie season in Top Fuel with his first career victory. His second appearance in the finals. He goes against a man, however, who's been brilliant at this racetrack. Gwynn has won the finals here the last 2 years running.
He also has won a Winter Nationals title on the same pavement for a total of 3 victories. He likes his place.
This is the second time that these two have met in the finals. The earlier occasion was at the Mid-South Nationals in Memphis. First time for Forsell to be in a final round going against the seasoned Gwynn. The result? Gwynn got away quickly, carried it through the line to get the victory. Now, earlier today, Steve talked with Forsell.
This crew has a special purpose as they finish the engine in Dennis Forsell's dragster. They have raced Darrell Gwynn before, earlier this season in Memphis, Tennessee, and Dennis Forsell was defeated by that red car. Will it be different today, Dennis?
Well, we're certainly going to do our best to make it different. We figure it's our turn, and so we're going out there to try to make it our turn.
You know the history of Darrell on this racetrack. He's almost unbeatable here.
He certainly has been lucky here, and it's you keep thinking that when a guy's doing real well at a track, sometime it has to turn in somebody else's favor.
Can he outdrive him?
I think we can drive with him. I mean, he's a darn good driver, and the car's running good, and our car's running good. I think it'll be a heck of a race.
Interesting perspective from Dennis Forsell, who's in the far or left-hand lane. And this is a surprise, Don Garlick, because Gwynn, it indicated with lane choice, he was going to work from that side of the track.
He's won every one of the previous events on this facility out of the far lane. But it does show a little maturity. Perhaps he watched too many cars smoke the tires in that far lane and decided that he better stay where he'd been winning today.
When his father, Jerry Gwynn, I think may have influenced that choice. They are off the long nitro flames, looking at the wings. Dennis Forsell was right. It was a heck of a drag race, but he came up on the losing end. Darrell Gwynn, his 4th title at Pomona, a 5:13 to a 5:14 on the starting line. Gary Gerald with Jerry Gwynn.
Jerry, what a way to cap a terrific season. That's 6 of them now. Is it any more special than any of the others?
They're all special, believe me, and we've been fighting that thing all day, and we thought it'd step up a little bit, but it whatever it takes to win, that's what we had to do.
The consistency has been startling.
Well, thanks to the whole crew. I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than the whole crew did a hell of a job.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
This was one beautiful drag race, the kind of race that the fans pay the money to see. Watch the cars leave the line. Gwynn took a very slight starting line advantage with the wheels in the air, the clutch dust coming out of the back end of it. He didn't want to spin those tires.
And Steve is now the young man who has to be happy.
Did you know you had won that drag race, Darrell Gwynn, 5:13 to a 5:14?
Yeah, I think I left a little bit ahead of him, and I was on the button pretty hard from about halfway on. So I figured if I was ahead of him at half track, he wasn't going to drive around me.
What a racetrack this has been for you. Your 3rd, 4th World Finals title here?
This is my 3rd World Finals title and my 4th time winning this race. We've won the Winter Nationals before here, too.
Congratulations. Here comes the team. Celebrate.
Yeah.
What a record of success this team has enjoyed at Pomona. Meanwhile, John Force has a fresh motor. Will it be enough to beat Kenny Bernstein? We'll find out in a moment. at Pomona. Kenny Bernstein, who earlier in the day locked up a 4th consecutive Winston championship, matching the record of Don Prudhomme in the 70s, preparing to go against John Force. Earlier, Steve Evans had a few moments to spend with Force, reflecting on this showdown.
John, this team is going all out to beat Kenny Bernstein. Changing engines. It's not points any longer, and it's not money knowing you.
It's this team's like a family, you know, like we got right here. You work all year long, and I'll shoot this straight. I've always set my goals on Don Prudhomme. He was the only guy to be world champ 4 years in a row. And now it's really hectic because now we got Kenny Bernstein. Now there's another champ, another guy that's done what Snake's done. Scares me. It's not getting easier. It's getting tougher.
And in John's arms, you saw daughter Brittany, one of 3 lovely daughters in the Force household. Kenny Bernstein, the champion in the near lane. John Force, the contender. Bernstein wants to beat Force. He wouldn't give him the satisfaction of knowing that he could handle the champ. It's a beautiful start. An incredible drag race. Bernstein smokes the tires. John Force has won it. 5:37, 274 miles per hour. Kenny Bernstein slows to a 5:50. On the starting line is Gary Gerald with Austin.
Austin, wow, what did you do? You made the engine change, you pulled it all together.
Well, we fixed what was wrong with it like we know how to do, and fortunately we had just barely enough time. And
how much of an apprehension or concern coming in?
Well, if you follow us, you know that we usually run pretty good right out of the box when we get to the racetrack. So essentially, we just put a fresh car together for this round, just like we started out here a few days ago, and she run just like it did a few days ago.
Terrific.
Thanks a lot.
All right, let's check on the reaction now of the winner, John Force.
John Force has been telling us for a long time about a dream he has regularly about beating Kenny Bernstein in a final round. It's happened, John. 5:37. John Force is the finals champion.
My home.
Hometown crowd. I can hear him cheering from here.
What's your run?
5:37. It doesn't matter.
Old crazy old Austin Coyle. Old terrible Chi-Town Austin Coyle. That old team. I never seen such a thrashing fighting going on between. To sit here and Bernstein be the champ, I told Coyle, you know what it means? If we can just come out here and whip this guy.
Whip the best.
Whip the best, okay? Him or Snake. We talked about it earlier, right? And I don't know why. It left. It was out there. He was out the window. And this old heap hung on in the left lane. The lanes were good. I want to thank my sponsors, naturally. I mean, all the people. Castro, Jolly Rancher, the Wax Shop. But I tell you what else. Couldn't be here without my wife, my kids, NHRA, Wally Parks. I love all of you guys.
All right, John Force. And here comes the crew for maybe the hardest working man to be a professional drag racer we have ever encountered.
And now, one of the celebrations that makes sports so very special. For Don Garlitz and Steve Evans, I'm Gary Gerald saying so long from Pomona.